What's up? It's your boy K, and I'm here with Isaac. Say hi to the people, Isaac.
Hello to the people.
We are back with movie review number 8 over the movie Wicked, starring Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Alfalfa.
Now, Wicked is the first part of the backstory of Alfalfa and Glinda and the events that lead them into how we know them from The Wizard of Oz. So, last video, we did a pre-rating of this one, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, and I'm actually going to bump that up. I was highly impressed. I'm going to jump that to a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yep.
I also was very impressed. I think that this movie blew my... I had high expectations. It blew my expectations out of the water. I'm going to go 9.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
9.5 out of 10. Yeah.
That's good.
So, here's why. This is the one I want to start with. Okay, I'm going to actually switch it up a little bit and start with the one thing that didn't give it that perfect 10. The musical numbers, in my opinion, they were extravagant. They were explosive. Yeah. They were all over the place, and I liked that, but I will say that you can see a progression of how good the songs got within the movie. And then finally, like in the last song at the end of the movie was the best song.
Right.
But I think early on in the movie, the songs weren't really...
Okay. It took a little while to develop.
Yeah.
Then. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the
sense.
good things that I liked from this movie. First off, I want to start with the lessons that they were teaching in it. Because I think the storytelling in this movie was fantastic.
It was.
So I love the idea that they were expressing of just accepting yourself no matter what other people think of you. You know, that is clearly shown with Elphaba, I believe her name is. It was clearly shown with her, you know, her being green was her whole thing. But, you know, a lot of people can kind of empathize with that. I think another lesson that I took away from the film, including Ariana Grande's character, was just a simple act of kindness can change one heart and then ultimately change your own heart. You know, so that one act of kindness not only changed their relationship, but changed the relationship of how Alfalfa had with everyone. Yeah. So that was pretty inspiring. And then the last thing that I like to note, which I think is very relevant to our current society, is do not trust what the mainstream media is telling you. Don't trust what mainstream ideals are all the time, because the truth may not be what it seems.
No, that's a deeper, darker point that we'll get to in our spoilers, but that's a good one. Well, I'm going to say, kind of tack on to what you said. The story, whoever created this story, I don't know the back end of it. I think it was a book, and then it was a musical on Broadway, is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's such a cool idea, and for somebody to be able to sit down and kind of piece all that together, I think it's just fantastic. So the storyline was great all the way through. I don't think they skipped a beat on anything. I think it was done really well. Mm-hmm. The acting was phenomenal. Yeah. So Ariana Grande and then Cynthia Erivo, both of them were. I mean, I don't think you could find any better. I know you know, you might, but they were really, really good.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. The one, if there was any character I would change in that entire movie, I think everyone was perfect. The one would be that prince that comes in. Yeah. He did a good job, but they could have picked someone better. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not a main part, but kind of is at the same time. So, important piece to the story. But, and then I'm not, as you know, I'm not like into a lot of musicals. Yeah. So I don't know, I don't always get into that kind of stuff. I've seen some that I like, but I was fine through the whole thing. And I thought the music was actually really good. Yeah. I mean, the songs are really well written. They all fit. I mean, it wasn't any parts where I was like, all right, you didn't really need to sing that part. like, you know, there's some of that in there. So I was, again, very, I think just my expectations were blown away. And let me back up and say a couple things I didn't like. Let me tell you one thing. I could be wrong, but I did not know that this was a part 1. So that's something important you guys want to make sure you know. This is just part 1, so it's not really giving you the full story. And I never saw it advertised that way. I found it out when they put it on the screen at the very beginning of the movie. It said Wicked, and then it said Part 1 at the bottom. So I could have missed it. So that could be on me, but I didn't know that going in. So it's not a bad thing. But the other part I will say, and I'm not knocking it necessarily, but it is a long movie. Yeah. Like it's long. Now I wouldn't necessarily say there's nothing, like there's certain things in there that they didn't need. Like I feel, again, the storyline's great. I feel like it was very well put together, but I'm really excited. So we looked it up. November 21st of 2025 is when part 2 is supposed to come out. So very interested to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like you talked about with the storytelling, I think that there was no questions that were left unanswered as far as this first film. Now, obviously, they're going to continue the story in part 2 and finish it, hopefully, and wrap it up nicely. But definitely answered all the questions that you had of the start of this story, for sure.
For sure.
So that's where we're going to stop without the spoilers, okay? So if you're someone who doesn't want spoilers, before you leave, I want to encourage you to go into the comments, let us know what you thought, but also give us a movie to review for our fan movie reviews that we do earlier in the week. Okay, let's get into some spoilers.
Well, let me say this real quick, because we usually say this at the end. 100% go see this at the theater.
Absolutely.
Fantastic in the theater. Get the tickets, and again, this was one of those movies, just like Red One last week, where it's packed. Like, we had to go at a different time. We actually had to go to a different theater just so we could watch it, because the seats they were full. So people are very excited about this, but 100% go see this in the theater. It's definitely worth the money.
I agree with that. Definitely a theater experience for sure. Big scenes, big production. Yeah. All right, so getting into some spoilers here. I absolutely, going back to my initial points, the themes, right? With them expressing how, I guess, sad it is to be Alphaba in this world. I mean, even from her childhood of her father not, like, hating her, basically. And we kind of saw the, like, how she came to be a little bit. Yeah. But, you know, he didn't even know that. And he still, you know, she expressed later on in the film of why he hated her, I guess, with what happened with the sister and the mom dying and stuff. But, I mean, just not only her father hating her, getting every room she went into, people looking at her, people, like, you know, gossiping on the side about her.
Just because she was green.
Just because she was green. She was wicked. I mean, it's just that preconceived notion that you have just from judging someone based on their appearance. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. Not only that, but relate to the idea of what Ariana Grande said when she went to the party that they had. Of saying, like, she was like, or the Prince was like, look at her, she just doesn't even care. She was just doing her own thing, and she was like, no, she cares. She just hides it. Yeah. I'm like, dude, that's how everyone feels. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are a lot better at hiding it than other people, for sure. But everyone wants to be accepted and brought in on things. Right. So I really like that point of everything, for sure. This movie just did a great job of forcing you really to empathize with Albatha. And not only that, but it forces you to rethink what you thought was the beautiful princess type witch of who, what was her name? Glinda. Yeah. Of how Glinda was, you know. In the first, have you watched the original Wizard of Oz? Oh yeah, right? Of course. Yeah. Like, seeing her, she's just this ball of light, and everything's just beautiful and stuff. Yeah. And you kind of see her in her origins, like, she's kind of an airhead who just wants everyone to accept her and love her. Yeah. So I really like that point. That's what really hit home with me in this movie. It was a great one. Yeah.
I'm very interested to see, because obviously I haven't seen the musical, so I don't know how they end this thing. But really, I mean, Elphaba's character she's the good character right now. Yeah. Like, she's noble, she's very loyal. The whole animal thing was a bit weird to me. Like, that kind of threw me off. Mm-hmm. But it's all for a good cause. I mean, she's obviously trying to save the species of animals and be able to keep them to where they can keep talking and have communication and
be people.
Be able to be a part of the society. Now I'll say I love Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Just in anything. I love the dude.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, and I think he probably ad-libbed half that stuff that he was saying in the movie. Cause
could have, for sure.
the way that he talks and interacts with people, I've seen him in interviews, is like, that's him. So just seeing him as Oz was pretty cool.
You know, his character in Oz almost gives me flashes of remembering him in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
When he was running that country.
Very, yeah.
It's almost the same.
Yep, it is. It is for sure. But like Kay said, the storyline just kept you engaged. That's one thing I did want to say. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, okay, let's get to the next thing. Like, you were, all right, what's going to happen? Who's going to go where? What are they going to say next? What are they going to do? So, like I said, I'm very interested to see what the next piece is going to hold, because I don't know how they're going to turn her into being the Wicked Witch, but they kind of already did, but she wasn't wicked.
Yeah, I mean she has a good... It's not even really her being wicked, it's her against everyone else, because everyone else has that mainstream ideology, and they all worship the wizard. Yeah. And she finds out in the end, as you do in the end of Wizard of Oz too, the wizard's a fraud. Yeah. You know, he's a big... a statue of a huge thing, but in reality he's just a regular dude, and he's using and manipulating other people to continue to have his power. Yeah,
but I think right now she's not... She doesn't have a bitter heart.
No.
Like, she does towards the man. She does towards the government that's out there. But when you see the Wizard of Oz, that's a completely different person that's been corrupted by something and goes after Dorothy, goes after, her character because of the house dropping on whatever witch that is, which I don't think we've seen that person yet. Yeah. So that witch might be in the second.
We saw
second
the
round.
Shoes.
We did see the shoes. Yeah, Glenda gave them to her.
Yeah, so...
But she must have given those shoes to the other witch at some point, which again might be in the second part. But one thing I mentioned while we were driving back was this makes me want to go see it in Broadway, just to see how they do it, because there's so much in this movie. I'm like, man, how did they piece all this together on a stage with just some group of people and then a stage setup? It had to be incredible. I
bet it was very artistic, for sure. Yeah. I need to go see Wicked. And, I know you said that you thought this was a long movie, but going along with your explanation of how engaging it was, I just didn't even want it to end. Even though it was a long movie, I was like, man, just keep going. It's so good.
Yeah. I don't think I realized how long it was till I got out. I mean, we were in that theater for over 3 hours. Yeah. Now, the whole movie wasn't 3 because of, previews and all that stuff. Yeah. But it was over 3.
It was definitely well worth it, 3 in my opinion. Yeah, I 100% couldn't recommend going to see this movie more. Yeah. I mean, this is probably one of the better movies, new movies at least, that we've reviewed on this podcast so far. Yeah. And, going with your point, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I think, is that her name?
Erivo, yeah.
Cynthia Erivo.
Fantastic.
They gelled so well together. Fantastic. I mean, they do a good job of being like yin and yang. Yep. They're counterparts and completely opposites, but they gelled perfectly. I mean, you couldn't cast 2 better people, in my opinion.
I agree. So we've got potentially a challenging movie that we held Wicked here. We might have that next week. I don't know.
Hearing good things.
So Gladiator 2 is the movie we're going to review next week. Now, Gladiator is my favorite movie. It's tied for #1 movie of all time. Oof. So I'm scared to see this one because I don't want it to ruin anything. But from what I've seen, it looks incredible. Denzel Washington's in it, so how could it not be great?
I want power.
Yeah. So we're going to go review that. We're going to go see that next week, so make sure you check it out. I've got very high expectations, so I'm starting it off at a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Yep. But remember, Gladiator for me is a 10 out of 10, so it is going to be a notch down, but that's where I'm starting.
I think... I have high expectations for this, and I think this will be a movie that doesn't quite reach the high expectations I have for it. I think it'll be good. I'm leaning more towards an 8 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
So hopefully I come back with a better score than that, but that's what I think it's actually going to be. Well, that's all we have for you in this movie review. Thanks for watching. If you like this movie review, please go give us a like. Comment not only what you thought of the movie Wicked, but also of this movie review, and comment what movie you would like us to review on our fan movie reviews earlier in the week. Go ahead and share this movie review with your friends. Anyone who's suggesting going to Wicked, which highly recommend.
Yes,
go ahead and share this with them so they can find out for themselves whether they'd like to go watch it or not. And then finally, please give us a sub on YouTube. We are now, I believe, 42 subs away from our goal of 500 subs. So we're inching closer and closer.
Yep, that's awesome.
Thanks for watching. Have a great day.